Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ask Dr. Renee show. In case you've never watched the show's mission is to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. The hashtag is live life you deserve. I love to tell people stories because I think they're amazing. They inspire me, and I think they'll inspire others. Our guest today is Donaldson, who has been on the show before, but she's had a whole lot of updates and changes since then, so we thought we'd have her back. So, Christia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Renee. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Good. I got my little husky girl voice on today, so you got to bear with me.
It's okay. It's okay. Exactly. At least you're talking. So, Christia, let's start where we left off. So when we left off, that was the week that you were launching in Target.
Okay.
So
wow.
Right. 2015. That was 5 years ago. That was your launch into Target. So what happened? Because I know that was a huge year for you for good and bad. So please share with us what happened from there. Because she's still in Target, which tells you something.
Well, that's okay. We'll talk about that too. So it's funny, 2015 was a crazy year. I tell people it was the best year of my life and the worst year of my life. On March 1st of 2015, thank God it's Natural, my company, which manufactures textured hair care products for women with kinky, curly, and wavy hair, launched in over 250 Target doors nationwide. 9 months later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2, if you will. So since then, I've been on this kind of breast cancer roller coaster, both for good and for bad, as well as this self-care, self-help, healing, inner child, all types of things since then. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been great. But in 2016, I took a break from the business. I was working at Oracle prior to that, and I was also juggling TGIN full time.
So for people that didn't watch the first episode, Christia is actually an attorney. So by trade, she actually went to law school. She's an attorney. So that's what she did with Oracle, was law. So
right. So when I was diagnosed, I immediately took a leave of absence from Oracle, and I scaled back my responsibilities at Thank God It's Natural. And so for 2016, literally I just got chemotherapy, radiation, a lumpectomy, froze my eggs, was on the cancer roller coaster, but chilling. And at that same time, the company was running itself. We were very small back then, but I tell people it was the year that I did the least that we gained the most, meaning our sales doubled and our door count quadrupled. So prior to that, I was trying to get in stores like Sally's, CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Whole Foods. All of those companies came calling while I was dealing with this health issue. And it was crazy because on the other side, that became my testimony. 2017, I was back on my feet, doing well, traveling the world, if you will, running back at things. I quit my job in Oracle in 2017, in April 2017. And I was like, I'm going to go give TGIN my full energy. But I was always like, I've got to find the right balance because I don't want to overwork myself. I want to take care of myself, but I also want to pour myself into my passion. But I was still traveling a lot, working a lot, building, if you will. And in 2018, I found out that my breast cancer was trying to come back. And I had to say, not today, Satan. Not today, Satan. It was an interesting situation. And it's been a journey since then, just to kind of heal myself with, traditional means as well as non-traditional means. But I feel great. I look great. I feel better than I did in my 30s. But like I said, I have to be very careful because of my, my health situation. Just take good care of myself. And I have an amazing team at the company. Today, we're in close to 10,000 doors.
Good Lord.
Walmart, CVS, all of that. And I have finally, to be honest, from a business standpoint, really gotten into CEO mode where I get to focus on working on the business versus working with the business.
That's funny. I just saw my lovely bestie, Dr. Dre, posted a meme that said, a lot of you are busy working working in your business and you to be working on your business. So that is awesome. It is because I remember when you started and you were at all of the, you'd be at the farmers markets and the festivals and everywhere. If they were there, then I knew I would surprise her and I'd show up because she'd be there.
Yeah.
And then you started, stepping back, and I was like, okay, I'd see the products, I'd see everything, but you weren't there. But I was like, oh, she's doing her thing. And so I think that, and then so like I said, if you didn't see the first episode, which you should really go watch, but she started this company how many years ago now?
Almost 2009.
Yeah.
So 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 10 and a half years ago.
So she started the company, and I remember because I've been in Chicago 16 years, and I remember running into her as she was just starting because I think that was when the first book came out. And
yes, and Dr. Renee told me what this Twitter thing was.
You are like the 10th person that said I
remember you were like, here's this thing called Twitter. I was like, how does it work? Yeah.
So, and now she has, like, you should see their accounts. They have way more followers than I do because they're doing very well. But, so yeah, I said, you sent me the book and I was like, oh my God, this book is like, she's a doctor. I mean, it had everything about hair from down to the follicle to what the follicle's made of. I mean, everything. If you want to know about your hair, you should get this book about natural, especially natural Black women's hair. And it tells a little of her story of how she, and that's why it's called Thank God I'm Natural. Which was a great book, and Essence blew the book up. I mean, that book, everyone is calling it the hair Bible because it really was. She even had salons in the back of the book. So in case you needed a natural hair care salon, which now it's not so hard to find, but she had them listed by state in the back of the book, which is remember. Yeah, so that was great. And then she sold these lovely blinged out shirts. And then all of a sudden she started having these products. And I'm like, oh, and she's like, try this. Tell me what happens. Try this. Because before I was wearing my lovely friend now that me and my
friend. Is that a friend?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. No, thank you. We lost you. Okay. Gotcha. Yep. Okay. So now the shout outs to my lovely stylist, Abra McField. So yeah, abracadabra. But my twist out, she was like, here, try this for your twist out. And I would try it, I'd tell her. And I will say to this day, and she knows the edge control is my best friend. And then I still use the leave-in the conditioner. So yeah, so sometimes I use that to just kind of spruce things up a little bit and to give, get the color back. Huh?
Loving these curls on you. Look amazing.
Look, I had to zhuzh them up. They were looking a little rough today, but we got the curls back today. But so yeah, she did all of this stuff. And like I said, I literally was sitting there watching it happen. And I tell people all the time, and she knows, I know a lot of people that have natural hair care lines, but I've literally watched this one grow from the beginning to where it is now. And I'm so excited every time I go into a store and I see it. I've seen her on billboards, on the street. And I'm like, wow, like who knew? Because I remember after we did that first show, I told my mom she has to go to the Target and look for the product. And if it's not there, I'm going to tell her so she knows that we need to get it in the Target that's by my parents' house. And so, like I said, now it's everywhere. But she wrote, and you'll be happy to know that I'm working on my book, which I should never have said out loud, but I did. But
no, you just got to birth it into the universe.
Yes. So she wrote this book, which was amazing. So I actually did the audio before I owned the hard copy, which I'd love to get signed eventually. But the book is amazing. And it literally tells her story. And so you see it's called This Is Only a Test, What Breast Cancer Taught Me About Faith, Love, Hair, and Business. So what made you write this book?
So for this book, it was basically therapy for myself. When I was over breast cancer the first time, it was like a roller coaster, if you will. And it was like emotionally, physically, mentally draining. And because in the past, like most Black women, and maybe all women, I buried so much of my hurt and pain. I was like, let me just pour this into this work or whatever for me. So I have a memory of what I went through. And that's what it was. It was supposed to be like not a memoir for other people. It's supposed to be a memoir of my own experience and how God worked in my life, so that if I was ever to go through anything else again or anything as tragic as this again, that I would have a reference point to the miracles that God was capable of working.
Well, you definitely did that. So, so Christy and I actually met in high school. I was a senior and I think she was a sophomore. And so reading it was funny because as long as I've known her, I know her better now as an adult than I did as a child. And so it was funny because we actually did kind of live parallel lives a little bit there. Like there was a lot of stuff in her book that I related to, as far as the way people treated us because of the way that we spoke and the way that we acted, and and so that was just, I was just like, wow. And then I think I texted and told you, but my mother actually knew your mom.
Yes, you did. You did tell me.
Which was
a small community.
Right. Which is so random. I was just telling my mom about the book and my mother said, what's her name? Yeah. And I said it and she goes, I know exactly who that is. I was like, what? And she goes, I just didn't know that was her daughter.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Crazy. But so this book, so one, I remember when you did TGIN, you actually, well, thank God I'm natural. You actually started doing workshops teaching people how to self-publish. So did you self-publish this as well?
I absolutely did, yes.
Okay.
But I used the company this time around, meaning I wrote it myself. I didn't go through a traditional publisher, but this time they kind of helped me with
layout and stuff.
And the layout and stuff, but I still self-published. Like I didn't go through like a traditional publisher.
Okay. And so, so this book, I'll put the link because you can, of course, buy it at Amazon. And also you can go on Audible, which is what I did. And you can listen to the book. And so I think I listened to it maybe in 2 days, I think. But I've told everyone about it because I think it was so amazing. So now that, and I told you, Sunday, I sold one copy of each book.
Thank you.
They were like, wait a minute. I said, oh, no, I will get you. I tell you exactly where you can buy the book because you need it. If you want it, you can get it. They were going to take a picture of the book. I said, no, I'll send you a link. You can purchase it right then.
Love it.
Huh?
A call to action.
Exactly. Of course. So, yeah. And like I said, I've been telling everyone to read the book because it was so good. It's a really great story. One, Black Girl Magic. Two, to show how people don't understand you can pivot just because because a lot of people think you went to law school, you have to be a lawyer for the rest of your days. And that's just not true. Just like me with med school. People are like, well, you have to. No, I don't have to work in a hospital and I don't have to be a doctor, and that doesn't have to be the only thing I do. And like I said, for her to be a lawyer, and she probably could tell me more about my hair than I could. And I mean, I'm talking about the science of it as if she was sitting next to me in the class, and she's a lawyer, but she knows hair and she knows it down to the science. So I was telling the same person about some of the great work you've done with your nonprofit. So can you talk about that, what you're doing with the waiting rooms and stuff?
Absolutely. So the TGIN Foundation was an organization that I founded after dealing with breast cancer. Because when I was diagnosed at a community hospital on the south side of Chicago. And if anyone is from Chicago, they know Chicago is very segregated, meaning the north side is traditionally where white people live. The south side is where Black people live. And you have Black people of all economic incomes on the south side. But sometimes that translates because of race into the services and quality of services that they receive. So I was diagnosed at this community hospital, which is where they service like uninsured and underinsured women. And when I got my results, I was like, I got to get up out of here and go to Northwestern, which is like the best hospital, not only in the city of Chicago, but in the state of Illinois when it came to cancer treatment. And as I was going through treatment, I had this sense of guilt of why is it that I was able to make it out of the hood and other sisters and brothers didn't have these same options. Not only is it a matter of maybe it was insurance, but maybe it was childcare. Maybe it was the cost of parking. To go to Northwestern every day, it's $12 a day. And if you have to go to chemo 8 times, doctor's appointments, radiation 33 days in a row, a lumpectomy, freeze your eggs, that's $1,000 in expenses that you weren't expecting. So that is why I started the foundation. And today our work, we're small, we're nimble, we're grassroots, but we're growing. We're doing a lot to tackle the issue around health disparities in the city of Chicago. by going into those communities versus and talking to sisters about not only their health from a breast standpoint, but from a stress standpoint. And I, no pun intended, I want to stress that stress is also a killer, especially in communities where you have issues related to, like, socioeconomic issues. Maybe they don't have a car. Maybe they don't have childcare. Maybe they don't have reliable jobs, on top of just being poor and Black in America. It's a lot to deal with. And so what we're doing with the Waiting Room Project is we're trying to reach out to hospitals in these communities. We thought it was going to be a lot easier. Like, we got the money, we want to help, but there's a lot of politics, as you know, in the medical system. And you want to give it to a hospital where you know it's going to be used and that it's going to be done right. And why we wanted to renovate a waiting room or waiting rooms is because that makes a difference when you're getting treatment in terms of how you feel about your experience, your prognosis, and your chances. I thought it was going to be so much easier to get it done. And it's not like we're not getting it done because we don't want to get it done. We're not getting it done because politics or people have already renovated, or I just don't have a good feeling about this hospital, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be right. Mm-hmm. And so we're working on that, but we're also working on, grassroots outreach, doing events around self-care, doing events around stress, going and talking to the sisters and brothers in these low-income communities about these issues, as well as, Black women, professional women as well, and shining a light on how breast cancer is not an old white lady disease, but that it does have an impact on women under 40 as well. So that's what we're up to.
So what we need to also mention is that, one, Christina was diagnosed at 35. Two, she had no family history. And so that's why she talks about stress. She talks about in the book, and I mean, you're probably right. She feels like the stress in her life, her mom died after she graduated high school. She feels like holding that in and not dealing with it properly could have been what brought her the first diagnosis of breast cancer. And then probably the second one might have been work stress even.
Right. Or no, let me tell you about the second one.
Okay.
And you probably can connect on this as a doctor, but maybe you won't. What happens when you have cancer is, maybe if you have it the first time, is you get on this cancer conveyor belt and they give you chemotherapy, give you radiation. It's a very early stage. Boom, you go to the cancer factory. You come out with a sheet of paper and a mammogram sheet that says cancer-free, right? That's what happened to me the first time. But what did not happen is that doctors and cancer treatment treats the symptoms. They treat the tumor. They don't treat the underlying issue that contributes to why you got sick in the first place. So if I had not dealt with the fact that my mom died and I was holding on to that grief and that emotion, then I'm back to where I was, except I'm cancer-free, but I'm still grieving and I haven't done with that. I'm not dealing with the fact that I was stressed out, or I'm not dealing with the fact that I had a hard time forgiving people and I would hold on to grudges. And that type of stuff builds up in your body. It's toxic. It's acidic, and it can kill you. And I had to learn the second time to let a lot of things go. And the only person that could do that was me. My doctors couldn't do it for me. I had to do it for myself.
I just had this discussion with someone. So the 4 agreements, if no one's ever read them, one of them is do not take it personally. Okay. So you can't hold on to stuff because it's not going to do anything to the other person, because I bet you 5 times out of 10, they probably aren't even thinking about you while you already got all this built up, you know what I mean? All this built up angst and anger. They're not even worried about you, but that is eating you alive.
Yes.
So you really do have to relax, relate, release. And I'm telling you, I'm really excited. I read something today that said that the new thing is to say, I told my therapist told me that's the new thing. And I'm like, that's great. I'm glad that people are openly talking about it, because you need to go to therapy. You need to seek a professional. Yes, the pastor and the priest are wonderful people, but they're not qualified. You need to see a qualified professional, whether it be a psychologist, a therapist, a counselor, or a psychiatrist.
Dr. Renee,
you got to see something.
You don't think you can go.
Yes,
years where I go drive through like it's McDonald's and come back 6 months later when it's like I come through in a crisis. Like, can I get like a little bit of therapy for like 2-3 weeks? Okay, I'm fixed. No,
right? No. Consistently.
You have to be there 2 days a week, 2 days a week, once a month, twice a month, something on a consistent basis. And not only when we're talking about the pastor and priest, your girlfriends are not qualified. They are not certified. They're good for the baby issues, but they can't get to the childhood trauma, y'all. They can't get to the childhood trauma. And we all suffer, to be honest, from childhood trauma. I'm learning that. Doesn't have to be something crazy. Like for me, you know, I came from a very quote, functional household. Parents were together, loved each other, were in love with each other. But I realized my mom was very successful. I only realized this probably 2 weeks ago. I have abandonment issues because when I was growing up, my mom traveled for work, not a lot. This was before FaceTime and social media. She would travel, you know, across the country, other countries, and be gone 7-8 days. And I just, that feeling, just as a child, it was just unnerving. But I didn't know it bothered me until recently. And so getting to the root of that, dealing with that, and how it shows up 30 years later is important. And your girlfriends are not going to be able to help you with that.
That is so true. And so, and I just went to an event, All-Star Week, with Silence the Shame, which is Silence the Shame Against Mental Health. And they had a panel at Michelle Clark High School with teens on the panel. And one of the teens said she was feeling horribly. And thankfully, she spoke to her mother about it. And her mother went and sought to get her help. Rather than say, oh, you're crazy or anything else, she went and found the girl help, and she's doing great. She's a senior in high school. She's doing fabulous. And so I think that, so it doesn't matter what age you are. You need to tell somebody something can be done about it. And we, you know, there's people out there that can help you. And it's at all, it doesn't matter what insurance you have or don't have, there is a way to get help. There's all sorts of hotlines, free hotlines. There's, you know, even at your job, they have these programs set up where they can contact, where you can contact someone to talk to. So definitely make sure you go and get help. So, so you are doing, what is it? You're doing, what are the conversations called that you do with the book?
We're doing self-care. Can you hear me, Dr. Renee?
Self-care. We're good.
Yes.
Okay. So
in person, online, with different book clubs, corporations, because even though self-care is this big buzz word, if you will, I think a lot of people really need not a blueprint, but like specific examples of what that really could look like and how to create their own tailored self-care experience. Because a lot of people, you know, 3 to 4 years ago, everyone was grinding, everyone was team no sleep, everyone was empire building. And it's like, we really got to take care of ourselves. Like, what good is it if you have millions of dollars in the bank and like your health is gone? And so self-care is really important. And it's funny because, you know, in the book, I talk a lot about my mom, but my grandmother was way ahead of her time. Even though she was a housewife, she always preached the importance of loving and taking care of yourself. Like some of the affirmations I listened today on YouTube by Louise Hay. I'm like, my grandma was listening to these tapes in the 80s and the 90s, talking about like, I love myself. Like, you know, everything is working together for my good. Like anything that's happening right now is happening in my favor. I'm safe. I'm protected. This is all, it takes work. Being and living in your body takes work, and we're ignoring our bodies most days. Dr. Renee?
Definitely. So I will have the information in the box below But please make sure that you, the information, it'll be everywhere. But make sure you go check out the book and definitely get in touch with them if you would like to have a self. She said they will do them Skype if you're a book club and she's not able to get there. And then, of course, they do them in person. So those are happen the whole lot. Yeah.
Dr. Renee, you cut out at the end.
Okay. I don't know what happened.
Okay, you cut out at the end.
I'm finished though, but yeah, check out the book and check out the products. They're in Target, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid.
Everywhere. Trying to be.
Everywhere. You can, of course, go on her website. I believe I've seen them on Amazon too. So just everywhere. And she's got not only hair products, but she has skin products too. So you might want, if you're not into, you don't have curly hair, then you might want to check out the skin products. She's got great soaps, even the love can support you. Can you?
It's still breaking up a little bit.
Okay. We can.